first, it was just a nuisance, you know? A little annoying pain here on the right side of my belly. Nothing unbearable like cramps, but constant, persistent. I tried to ignore it, thought it was gas, indigestion, who knows. Ate something different, and there you go, blame it on the food. Had some Boldo tea, took some painkiller, and carried on with life. We always try to normalize things, right? Especially when life is busy, work, kids, house to take care of. There's no time left to pay attention to the signs your body gives. The pain came and went, sometimes stronger, sometimes almost disappearing. I started to notice it happened more after lunch, especially if I ate something heavier. So I cut out fried foods, soda, those things, thought I was solving it. But even with the diet, the pain was still there like a shadow. I started to feel tired, more than usual. That kind of tiredness that doesn't go away even when you sleep. That's when the realization hit me. It wasn't just indigestion. Something was wrong. The breaking point was one night after an exhausting day. The pain was so strong it kept me from sleeping. Got out of bed, took another painkiller, and nothing. There, sitting on the couch in the middle of the night, I knew I needed to see a doctor. Couldn't ignore it anymore. I'm Emma, 38 years old, and until recently I led a normal life. Married, 2 beautiful kids, a job I loved, friends, family. Everything was going as expected, you know? That routine of home, work, school, a movie on the weekend. Nothing extraordinary, but it was my life, and I was happy until everything changed. A silly little pain led me to a diagnosis that turned my world upside down, a rare liver cancer. Why am I telling this? Because I took too long to seek help, ignored the signs my body was giving me, thought it was nothing, that it would pass, neglected myself, put everything ahead of my health. And today, looking back, I bitterly regret it. If I had gone to the doctor sooner, maybe the story would be different. That's why I decided to share my journey. It's not easy, it hurts to relive every moment, every fear, every anguish. But if my experience can alert one person, just one, and make them pay attention to their body's signs, seek a doctor, not be afraid of the diagnosis, then everything will have been worthwhile. I want to turn my pain into hope, into awareness. May my story be a lesson. Do not ignore the signs. Take care of yourself. Your health is your most precious asset. At the beginning, as I said, it was just a discomfort, but we are masters at making excuses, at justifying the unjustifiable. The pain in the abdomen? Oh, it was just work stress. The high blood pressure, the endless meetings, the tight deadlines. It was obvious that the body would complain in some way. The fatigue? Blame the kids. Running after them all day, taking them to and from school, preparing dinner, helping with homework. Who wouldn't be exhausted? And so I kept pushing through, neglecting the signs that my body desperately tried to send me. Self-medication was my specialty. For the pain, any painkiller, the ones you buy at the pharmacy without a prescription, ibuprofen, paracetamol. It worked for a few hours, and then the pain would come back, stronger. For the fatigue, coffee. 1 cup after another to keep me awake and productive. Sometimes I would resort to an energy drink, one of those that promised to give you superpowers. It worked for a while, but then left me even more drained. Teas were also my allies. Chamomile to calm the nerves, Boldo for digestion, mint for headaches, a whole pharmacy at home, and I thought I was the family doctor. The worst part is that these remedies, even if temporarily, masked the symptoms. The pain disappeared for a few hours, the fatigue lessened a bit, and I felt capable of moving forward. But beneath this apparent improvement, the real problem continued there, silently, growing. The routine was a perfect excuse not to take care of myself. I don't have time, I repeated to myself. I need to take the kids to school, go to work, run errands, clean the house. I can't stop now. And so day after day, I was drowning in tasks, losing myself, forgetting that my health was the foundation of everything. Without health, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. In addition to remedies and teas, I tried other home remedies, hot compresses on the stomach, massages with essential oils, relaxing baths, all in vain. The pain persisted, fatigue consumed me, and my intuition screamed that something was wrong, but I refused to listen. I was scared of what I might find, scared of the diagnosis, scared of the treatment, scared of the illness. I preferred to live in ignorance, in the illusion that everything would pass. Until the pain became unbearable and I could no longer escape reality, the escalation of symptoms was like a tide slowly rising, enveloping you without you noticing at first. The pain, once a passing discomfort, began to settle in like an unwanted tenant, present every moment of my day. It went from sporadic to constant, pulsing like a cruel reminder that something was wrong. At first, it was a twinge, a tightness. Then it became a burning, a feeling of heaviness, as if there was a rock inside me. The impact on my daily life was devastating. At work, once a place of fulfillment and pleasure, I felt exhausted, unable to concentrate. Meetings became a torment, tasks piled up, and my productivity plummeted. I struggled to stay awake during office hours, and coffee breaks no longer had an effect. The simple act of typing on the computer was a huge effort, and the pain in my stomach intensified with every movement. I started arriving late, missing appointments, isolating myself from my colleagues. The fear of being fired consumed me. In my relationships, the situation was no better. Constant irritability turned me into a bitter and impatient person. I would argue with my husband over anything, distanced myself from my friends, ceased attending family gatherings. I had no enthusiasm enthusiasm for anything. The energy I once had to play with my children vanished, and playtime became tiring and painful. I felt guilty for not being the present and fun mother they deserved. Leisure activities, once a refuge, became a burden. Going to the movies, strolling in the park, traveling, nothing brought me joy. Pain accompanied me every step of the way, preventing me from enjoying leisure time. I had difficulty walking, climbing stairs, moving. Nights turned into a nightmare. Pain kept me from sleeping, and when I finally managed to drift off, I would wake up several times during the night, sweating and feeling nauseous. The physical limitations I began to face left me frustrated and desperate. Simple tasks like showering, getting dressed, or preparing a meal became a challenge. I needed my husband's help for everything, which made me even more irritable and dependent. Every passing day, I felt like my body was betraying me, abandoning me. I tried to hide the situation from those around me, afraid of worrying them or being judged. I made up excuses to justify my tiredness, irritability, absences. I would say I had the flu, a headache, an allergy, but deep down, I knew I couldn't hide the truth forever. The fear of people's reactions paralyzed me. I was afraid they would look at me with pity, treat me differently, see me as an invalid. Isolation became my refuge, loneliness, my companion. But deep in my heart, I knew I needed to ask for help. I needed to face my fears and seek a diagnosis. I needed to fight for my life. The night that pain kept me from sleeping was a turning point. There, sitting on the couch, with tears streaming down my face and my body exhausted, I knew I couldn't run away anymore. The next morning, I took a deep breath and scheduled an appointment with a general practitioner. The wait in the waiting room felt like an eternity. Every minute was torment, every cough, every whisper made me more nervous. When they finally called my name, I entered the room with shaking legs. The doctor was attentive, asked me several questions, examined my belly. I told him everything: the persistent pain, the excessive fatigue, the loss of appetite. He listened carefully, without interrupting. In the end, he requested a battery of tests: blood, urine, ultrasound. I left the office dazed, with a huge list in hand and a heavy heart. The following days were filled with pure anguish. The wait for the results was unbearable. I tried to keep busy, but anxiety consumed me. I searched the internet for information about possible diagnoses, which only made the situation worse. The nights were long and restless, filled with nightmares and dark thoughts. Finally, the day to pick up the results arrived. I was accompanied by my husband, who tried to reassure me, but I knew he was also anxious. I handed the exams to the doctor, who examined them carefully. The silence in the room was deafening. Suddenly, he looked up and said, "Emma, the tests show the presence of a tumor in your liver. We need to do more tests to confirm the diagnosis, but everything indicates it's cancer." At that moment, the world collapsed. I felt as if a black hole had opened beneath me, swallowing me whole. The doctor's words echoed in my mind, making no sense. Cancer. I couldn't believe it. How could it be cancer? I was young, healthy, had a whole life ahead of me. It couldn't be true. The first reaction was shock. I was paralyzed, unable to speak or move. Then came disbelief. There must be some mistake, I thought. The tests must be mixed up. This can't be happening to me. But deep down, I knew it wasn't a mistake. The pain, the exhaustion, the symptoms, everything fit. Next, fear took over me. Fear of the pain, the suffering, the treatment, death, fear of leaving my children, my husband, my family, fear of the unknown. Countless questions flooded my mind. What was going to happen to me? How much time did I have? Would the treatment work? Could I overcome this? The doctor tried to calm me down, explained that we needed to do more tests to determine the type and stage of cancer, and that from there we could define the most suitable treatment. But I couldn't focus on anything. I was dazed, lost, desperate. I left the doctor's office in a state of shock. On the way home, I cried uncontrollably. My husband held me, tried to comfort me, but nothing seemed to ease my pain. It felt like my life had ended right there. The future I had planned, the dreams I had, everything had been destroyed in an instant. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed awake all night, reliving the moment of diagnosis, wondering why this was happening to me. The quest for answers was relentless. I wanted to understand what had caused the cancer, if there was something I could have done to prevent it, if there was any chance of a cure. Slowly, I realized that I needed help. I needed medical, psychological, spiritual support. I needed to talk to other people who had gone through the same situation, to understand how they had dealt with the diagnosis, with the treatment, with the fear. I needed to fight. I couldn't give up. Life hadn't ended. It had just taken a different turn. And I needed to find strength to move forward. The beginning of treatment was like entering a dark labyrinth, without a map and without a lantern. I confess that the word chemotherapy terrified me. I had the image of those debilitated people, without hair, vomiting all the time. But I needed to be strong, for my children, for my husband, for myself. The first session was scary. The needle entering the vein, the strange sensation of the liquid flowing through my body. I tried to distract myself, close my eyes, and imagine that I was receiving a magical potion that would give me superpowers to fight against cancer. The side effects didn't take long to appear. Nausea was constant. Nausea accompanied me all day long. I lost my appetite. Everything had a strange, metallic taste. The fatigue was extreme, a fatigue that prevented me from doing the simplest things, like taking a shower or preparing preparing a meal. I felt weak, without energy, as if the battery of my body was discharged. The hair loss was one of the most difficult moments. I woke up with tufts of hair on the pillow, the shower drain clogged with strands. I decided to shave my head before the fall became even more traumatic. At first, I felt strange, bald, ugly, but then I learned to love myself again, to accept my new image. I bought colorful scarves, stylish turbans, and discovered that beauty goes far beyond hair. Hospitalizations became frequent. Low immunity made me vulnerable to infections, and any fever was a reason to rush to the hospital. The needles, the IV fluids, the tests. The hospital routine was tiring and exhausting, but I felt safe, supported by the medical team. The surgery was a moment of great apprehension. I was afraid of the anesthesia, the post-operative period, the possible complications, but I trusted the medical team, which gave me security and hope. The surgery was successful, but the recovery was long and painful. I needed to take strong painkillers to control the pain, and physiotherapy was essential to regain movement. The changes in my body were hard to accept. The scars from surgery, the swelling caused by medications, the dry and lifeless skin. I felt deformed, different, but I learned to love myself again, to value my strength, my resilience. I understood that beauty is not in perfection, but in authenticity, in self-acceptance. There were moments of discouragement, of revolt, of despair. I questioned why this was happening to me if I had done something wrong. I believed that I couldn't bear it, that I didn't have the strength to fight. But in those moments, I clung to my faith, to the love of my family, to the affection of my friends. They were my safe haven, my source of energy, my reason to keep fighting. The support of my family was crucial. My husband became my inseparable companion, my caregiver, my friend. He accompanied me to all appointments, to all chemotherapy sessions, to all hospitalizations. He gave me strength when I was weak, encouraged me when I was discouraged, loved me unconditionally. My children were my inspiration. Seeing their smiles, hearing their voices, feeling their hugs gave me the strength to move forward. My friends were a gift. They visited me in the hospital, called to check on me, sent me loving messages. They organized events to cheer me up, invited me to go out, made me laugh. Feeling their support gave me hope, showed me that I was not alone. The medical team was essential in my journey. The doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, nutritionists were all attentive, dedicated, humane. They explained everything to me about the illness, the treatment, the side effects. They gave me hope, encouraged me not to give up. The fight against cancer taught me many things. I learned to value every moment, every smile, every hug. I learned not to be afraid to ask for help, to accept the support of the people who love me. I learned to love my body, even with its imperfections. I learned to be grateful for life, even in the most difficult moments. And I learned that hope is the last to die. Many people confuse terminal illness with palliative care, and the truth is that they are quite different. Being in a terminal state means that the disease has reached a point where there is no cure, and the life expectancy is very short, usually weeks or months. It is a delicate time, where the focus is on ensuring maximum comfort possible in the final moments. Palliative care, on the other hand, is a much broader approach, which can be initiated in any phase of the disease, even when there is still a possibility of curative treatment. The main goal is not to prolong life at any cost, nor to hasten death, but to improve the quality of life of the patient and their family. This means relieving pain, controlling physical symptoms, caring for mental and emotional health, and offering social and spiritual support. Receiving a cancer diagnosis did not mean that my life was over. It meant that I needed to learn to live with the disease, to adapt my routine, to take care of myself in a different way. That's when palliative care came into my life, showing me that it was possible to have quality of life, even in the face of a difficult prognosis. The first step was to control the pain. The medical team explained to me that pain does not need to be a constant companion, that there are various medications and techniques to relieve it. I started taking specific painkillers, applying hot compresses, and practicing relaxation techniques. Gradually, the pain decreased, and I was able to resume some activities that were previously impossible. In addition to physical pain, the disease also caused me a lot of distress, anxiety, and fear. I started therapy with a psychologist specialized in cancer patients. The sessions helped me to express my feelings, to cope with the fear of death, to find meaning in life, even in the face of the disease. I learned to live in the present, to value each moment, not to worry so much about the future. Palliative care also provided me with comfort. I received nutritional support to deal with loss of appetite and nausea. I had access to social assistance services, which helped me resolve bureaucratic and financial issues. I received visits from volunteers who kept me company, talked to me, and showed me affection. Alongside conventional treatment, I explored alternative therapies that helped me a lot in dealing with symptoms and stress. Meditation, for example, taught me to calm the mind, relax the body, and connect with my inner self. I practiced every day, for a few minutes, and felt an inner peace that helped me face the challenges of the disease. Yoga helped me strengthen my body, improve flexibility, and relieve muscle tension. The poses, the breathing, the meditation, everything provided me with physical and mental well-being. I started with gentle classes, adapted to my limitations, and gradually progressed. Acupuncture helped me relieve pain, control nausea, improve improve sleep. The needles, placed in specific points on my body, stimulated the production of endorphins, substances that provide well-being and pain relief. These alternative therapies did not replace conventional treatment, but were an important complement, helping me deal with symptoms and stress in a more natural and effective way. They showed me that I had the power to take care of myself, to control my pain, to improve my quality of life. Palliative care taught me that life is not just about quantity, but also about quality. They showed me that it is possible to live fully, even in the face of a serious illness. They gave me tools to face challenges, to take care of myself, to value every moment, and they showed me that even when a cure is not possible, care always is. Life played a trick on me, one of those that you think you only see in movies. After a period of relative calm, believing that the storm had passed, came the cold shower, the recurrence. Like a nightmare that repeats itself, the disease decided to show its face again. The feeling was that everything, absolutely everything, started from scratch. All the effort, the struggle, the suffering. It was as if nothing had been worth it. Frustration invaded me like a giant wave, drowning me in a sea of uncertainties and anxieties. New symptoms began to appear, subtle at first, but soon intensified. A persistent back pain, an inexplicable fatigue, the lack of appetite returning. Signs that I knew all too well. The fear, that old acquaintance, resurfaced with full force, paralyzing me from within. With each symptom, with each sleepless night, the shadow of the disease approached closer and closer. The exams confirmed what I already feared. The disease had returned, and this time in a more aggressive way. The diagnosis of metastasis sounded like a sentence. The news hit me hard, leaving me stunned, without ground. The feeling was that time was running out, that life was slipping through my fingers. The fear of death became a constant. Dark thoughts assaulted me at every moment. What would happen to my children? Who would take care of them? How would my husband cope with my absence? The anguish was so much that it prevented me from breathing. I urgently needed to find a way to deal with this fear, to accept the new reality. I decided to seek professional help. Therapy has been doing me a great deal of good. Through conversations with a psychologist, I have learned to deal with my fears, to express my emotions, to accept what I cannot change. Faith has also been a great support in this moment. Believing in something greater, in a divine purpose, gives me strength to move forward. Today, my priority is to live in the present. I don't worry so much about the future, about what might happen. I try to enjoy every moment, every smile, every hug. I dedicate more time to my children, my husband, my friends. I do things that bring me pleasure, that make me happy. I have discovered that life is a precious gift, and that every day is an opportunity to be happy. I still feel fear, of course. The battle against cancer is a constant struggle, with ups and downs, but I have learned not to be discouraged by difficulties. I believe that hope is the last to die, and that as long as there is life, there is hope. I continue to fight, one day at a time, with faith, courage, and determination. And above all, I continue to live, love, and be happy. Because life, even with its imperfections, continues to be a wonderful gift, and I am grateful for every moment that I have the opportunity to live it. I learned, the hard way, that the future is a mirage, a promise that is not always fulfilled. Before, I used to live planning, dreaming about tomorrow, postponing happiness for when I could achieve my goals, the own house, the promotion at work, the perfect vacations. There was always something more to pursue, something to conquer, and in the midst of this relentless pursuit, I forgot to enjoy the present, to appreciate the little things that brought me joy. Illness forced me to slow down, to decelerate, to look around me more carefully. Suddenly, the simplest things became precious. The morning sun warming my face, the birds singing at the window, the tight hug of my children. I discovered that happiness is not in major achievements, but in small moments, in things that do not cost money, but are worth gold. My favorite activities became even more important. Reading a good book, taking a relaxing bath, listening to music, cooking for my family. These are moments that allow me to disconnect from the outside world, connect with myself, find pleasure in simple things. I discovered a talent for painting, something I had never experienced before. The colors, the brushes, the canvas, they transport me to a world of fantasy where I can express my feelings, create, liberate myself. Moments of joy have become rare and precious. A family dinner, an afternoon in the park, a fun movie at the cinema. Every smile, every laughter, every moment of unity is a gift. I've learned to value the company of people I love, to enjoy every moment beside them, to create unforgettable memories. The little things that bring me joy are the most important. A cup of hot coffee in the morning, a hug from my husband, a flower in the garden, a loving note from my children. These are simple gestures, but they warm my heart, make me feel loved, give me strength to move forward. I am learning to value relationships, to express my feelings, to be grateful for life. Before, I had difficulty in showing what I felt, in saying I love you, in apologizing. Illness has taught me that life is too short to keep feelings, to be proud, to let time pass. Today, I am not afraid to express what I feel, to say what I think, to show my love. I am learning to be grateful for everything, for my family, for my friends, for my health, for my home, for my life. Even in in the toughest moments, I try to find reasons to be thankful. Gratitude helps me to keep up, to have hope, to believe that better days will come. Illness has taught me to prioritize what really matters. I have put aside unnecessary concerns, things that do not bring me joy, people who do not treat me well. I have started to focus on what is essential: my health, my family, my happiness. I have discovered that life is too short to waste energy on things that are not worth it. I have learned that control is an illusion. We cannot control the future, what people think of us, what happens around us. The only control we have is over ourselves, over our choices, over our attitude towards life. I have decided to accept what I cannot change, focus on what I can control, and live each day as if it were the last. Illness has turned me into a better person, stronger, more resilient, more grateful, more aware. It has taught me to value life, to love people, to enjoy every moment. It has shown me that happiness is not a destination, but a journey, and that what matters is not how long we live, but how we live. That's why I have decided to live intensely, with joy, with love, with hope, because life is a gift, and I am grateful for each moment I have the opportunity to live it. My perspective on life and death has changed drastically. Before, death was a taboo, something distant that I preferred not to think about. I lived as if I were immortal, as if time were infinite. Illness confronted me with the finitude of life, showed me that we are fragile and vulnerable beings, that at any moment our journey can be interrupted. At first, the idea of death terrified me. I felt panic just thinking about leaving my children, my husband, my family. But over time, I learned to accept death as part of life, as a natural, inevitable cycle. I understood that what matters is not how long we live, but how we live. That what really matters are the moments we share with the people we love, the memories we build, the legacy we leave behind. The experience of illness transformed me profoundly. I became a stronger, more resilient, more compassionate person. I learned to value every moment, every smile, every hug. I learned not to be afraid to ask for help, to accept the support of the people who love me. I learned to love my body, even with its imperfections. I learned to be grateful for life, even in the most difficult moments. Illness taught me to prioritize what truly matters. I let go of unnecessary worries, things that do not bring me joy, people who do not make me feel good. I started focusing on what is essential: my health, my family, my happiness. I discovered that life is too short to waste energy on things that are not worth it. The legacy I want to leave is one of love, hope, and overcoming. I want my children to remember me as a present, loving mother who fought with all her might to be by their side. I want my husband to remember me as a supportive, passionate wife who loved him unconditionally. I want my friends to remember me as a loyal, fun friend who was always there in good times and bad. I want to inspire other people to take care of their health, to value life, to live fully. I want to raise awareness about the importance of prevention, early diagnosis, and proper treatment. I want to show that cancer is not a death sentence, that it is possible to live with quality, even in the face of illness. I want to encourage people not to be afraid to seek help, to express their feelings, to fight for their dreams. For those facing similar challenges, my message is one of hope and encouragement. Don't give up. Believe in yourselves, in your strength, in your ability to overcome. Seek medical, psychological, and spiritual help. Surround yourselves with people who love you, who support you, who make you feel good. Don't be afraid to express your feelings, to ask for help, to cry when needed. Remember that you are not alone. There are thousands of people who have gone through or are going through the same situation. Connect with them, share your experiences, exchange information, support each other. Unity is strength. Live one day at a time without worrying so much about the future. Enjoy every moment, every smile, every hug. Do things that bring you pleasure, that make you happy. Discover new talents, new hobbies, new passions. Don't let difficulties, fears, or uncertainties bring you down. Believe that life is a precious gift and it is worth fighting for. And always remember, hope is the last thing to die. As long as there is life, there is hope. Keep fighting with faith, courage, and determination. And above all, keep living, loving, and being happy. Because life, even with its imperfections, remains a wonderful gift. Believe me, the illness has transformed me. Today, I am a stronger, more resilient, and more compassionate person. My perspective on life has changed dramatically. I cherish every moment and every small detail. Life is a gift, a present that we must make the most of. May my story serve as inspiration for everyone to take care of their health, live fully, and never lose hope. If I could do it, so can you. If there is one lesson that my journey has taught me, it is the importance of listening to our body. It speaks, it whispers, it screams when something is not right. Ignoring these signs is like silencing a cry for help. Do not deceive yourselves. Do not settle for the pain. That persistent ache, that inexplicable fatigue, that sudden change in your body, all of this could be a warning. Do not be afraid to seek a doctor, to take tests, to face the truth. Early diagnosis can be the key to effective treatment, and who knows, to a cure. Prevention is an act of self-love. Adopting healthy habits such as a balanced diet, regular exercise, adequate sleep, stress management, all contribute to strengthening our bodies and preventing various diseases, including cancer. Do not neglect routine exams. They are essential to detect any changes in our body early on. Remember, prevention is always the best remedy. If by chance illness crosses your path, do not despair. Face it with courage, faith, and hope. Believe in the treatment. Trust the medical team. Seek psychological support. Surround yourself with people who love you. Faith is a balm for the soul, a safe harbor in times of storm. Believe in something greater, in a divine purpose, in a force that guides and protects you. Hope is the last to die. Keep the faith, nurture optimism, envision healing. Based on my experience, the advice I would give is, allow yourself to feel. Do not suppress your emotions. Do not pretend everything is okay when it's not. Cry, scream, vent, express what you are feeling. Fear, sadness, anger, anguish, all these feelings are valid and need to be acknowledged. Do not isolate yourselves. Do not shut yourselves off from the world. Seek support. Talk to people who understand you. Participate in support groups. Share your experiences. Exchange information. Support each other. Life is a precious gift, a miracle that we must value at every moment. Even in the face of illness, do not lose the joy of living, the beauty of small moments, the company of the people they love. Cultivate good humor, lightness, gratitude. Believe in the power of life, in the human being's capacity for overcoming. And above all, love. Love yourselves, love your family, love your friends, love life. Love is the most powerful force in the universe, capable of healing, transforming, renewing. With love, faith, and hope, you can overcome any obstacle and live a full and happy life. Be strong.